It's not a secret for anybody anymore that I'm a big fan of cruises. And today I am a little bit selfish with my interviews 1042, because I decided to satisfy, in a way, my cravings for cruising. If you need any information about cruising, the best source to go, the best place to go, it's Cruise Addicts. And today I have the pleasure and the honor to chat with the creator of this absolutely amazing movement with thousands of followers on their website or Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and so on. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the guru of cruising from Cruise Addicts tonight at 10:42, John Shallo. Good evening. I'm saying good evening, but good afternoon, John, and thank you so much for finding some time to talk with me today.
Thank you for having me, Leonard.
Tell me something. I'm quite curious because I know how hard you work in a normal time, how many information you give to your followers about cruise ships, about destination, about itinerary, and so on. How or what are you doing right now?
Well, it's different, obviously. Things really did come to a crash and halt. I think everybody in the cruise industry has really suffered almost like a light switch. And of course, we're all waiting for everything to start back up. I've actually spent more time making video. And I know you've seen our We Will Cruise video where we had a lot of journalists get together. That's on our YouTube channel. And it was a real success, really to show some heartfelt messages from other travel journalists. And even travel agents, just people completely across the spectrum that work within the travel industry or the cruise industry, really saying, we will be back, we will be strong, we will return, and it'll be better than ever.
Now, of course, in the moment when the announcement was made and the cruises start to be cancelled, there are different reactions. Of course, when I read reaction online, I always ignore the professional moaners. But there are people happy with the outcome. There are people not very happy. Some of the cruise line, they reacted in a certain way. Others reacted in a completely different way. Was situation when the same cruise line has different terms and conditions for vouchers, rebookings, refunds from one geographical area, marketing area to another one. How you can find your way around that in case of your cruise was canceled?
Yeah, and I think that's a perfect example of why you should work with a travel professional, travel agent, that will always be in your corner. I think every cruise line really, has amazing customer support. I mean, you just don't have these, multi-billion-dollar companies with, fleets of ships as big as the ones we're talking about. That serve so many customers without a great base of support. And but of course, having a travel professional, a travel agent that you have a personal relationship with, that you call and say, okay, so they can help you understand the situation. Someone that's working, literally 7 days a week with a vast amount of customers, so they can bring that knowledge to you rather than just making a call to an 800 number. I think it's much more personal. It doesn't cost you as a customer, it doesn't cost you anything, and you can have that relationship. And sometimes the perks and opportunities for group bookings and so many other things that brings, it's just a perfect example in this conversation to say, you know what, you really should work with build a relationship with a local travel professional. And when something like this happens, you can go to them and they can actually help guide you through this situation, because who knew that this was going to happen? No one saw this.
Now I need to turn to John as a guru of cruising. And let's look as a prediction, not necessarily like, yeah, that will be the reality. What do you think that will change in the cruise line industry, in the way how we are cruising in the future after all this madness will finish?
Well, I hope we don't have to change as much. I think in a perfect world, a really good treatment comes along and we don't have to change, because I think people don't want to change. We want to be relaxed. We don't want to feel like we're going into a hospital environment or we have to be on guard. And I don't know how it is where you are, but we have arrows now in our in the stores, and people are queuing up, and it just seems very robotic and not relaxing. And I don't know if I want to relax in that environment. Of course, we love cruising, and we'll make the best of it no matter what. I know me and you will probably be the first in line, when we can, even if we have to have 3 masks on. But I know a couple things came about recently. I've seen news of one cruise line is potentially working on a patent to do like remote muster drills. So that maybe they're going to rethink how the muster drills are going to be, where you don't have to be confined in a space, either
Yeah.
no matter where it would be. I mean, so that would be nice. They've also talked about some type of mask, because people want to feel secure. So there's some type of mask. So there are things in the works. And I think, of course, it's really under wraps at this point as far as what's going to happen. But I think in the next few months, I think they're going to do it as soon as they can, probably on a limited scale. I've heard some of the CEOs and the captains of the industry saying, and you can tell with all the crew members going home that it won't be able to start right up real quick. So maybe on a limited basis, they'll maybe roll out things, get these policies and procedures, these new procedures in place, and then see how it works. And of course, so see how the world is doing, because if there's a resurgence in another outbreak, or where we have to lock down again, or it's just not working, then they can pull back. And rather than pull back an entire fleet, wherever it might be, they can just maybe pull back 1 or 2 ships. So I guess the word is baby steps. So I think it's going to be a baby steps. It's going to be a trial by not by error, but try some new things. What works for the guests and also works for the line, and also to make sure we're all safe and secure. No one wants to worry about going on vacation and risking their health.
The safety, yeah, correct. Now we're talking about baby steps. One of the important steps in the entire process in the future will be to try to find the right information from the right source. And Cruise Addicts, it's one of those sources that I always checked. I told you that I'm a fan number 1. Now, if somebody want to get this information from you, where they can find you?
Our website is at cruise-addicts.com. We're also on Facebook. We also have a Roku TV channel, YouTube channel. We also have a Cruise Addicts Rehab Facebook group. We're on Twitter at Cruise Addicts. So we're all over the place. And we try to disseminate all this good information all across all across our platforms. At the end of the day, I'm a fan of cruising. That's how this all started. And of course, as I became a fan, I wrote reviews, I made videos, and it's of course gotten bigger. And I really, really enjoy it. But deep down, I think that's what I really am, as a real hardcore fan, and I really appreciate everybody that works in the industry. The crew members, that it's really affected them. I'm home right now, but of course, this is a lot of people's livelihoods has literally just stopped overnight. And so I feel for them, and that's why we made the video. So many people's worlds just literally stopped. So I hope we can get things back up and running. And this is just a moment in time for us.
Moving now at John, my friend who is talking with me right now. When the lockdown will finish and all these days, there will be just a funny story to talk about. What's things that you're doing now differently will keep in your future normal life?
Well, I've done more. I've never, this is my first Zoom. My children are using Zoom for school, but the first time I've done like a video thing. And a lot of other people in this industry, the cruise media industry, are doing more live video. I did one the other day through a different platform, through my Facebook group, and the interaction's great. And I don't know if it's because everybody's at home, but I think that we can feel more comfortable doing things like this. It really does connect the world. And more, and another thing is, just to kind of pivot a little bit, it's making us all connect. That here, this is a good situation. You've communicated over time, and you're a very busy person, and like I said, it's a real honor to talk to you. But it's made us all reach out across the pond, across the world, and appreciate our neighbors, appreciate our friends, appreciate our coworkers, and of course appreciate something as wonderful and the opportunity to go on a amazing cruise, which for some people is just a once in a lifetime experience.
Correct.
So this is a true smell the flowers moment in our lives. Appreciate your family, appreciate your friends, give them a hug, bring them in, bring everybody in, you know what I mean? And cherish the moment, because life is such a fleeting moment. And so I think that's what's really, really important. I think people are going to appreciate the crew members. They're going to appreciate the industry. They're going to appreciate everything, because it could all be gone like that.
Correct. Now I want to do an exercise with you. Imagine that right now, it's a miracle, you are in the same room, today's John, with John when you are 7 years old. And you have, I don't know, 30, 40 seconds to tell that John something coming from today's John.
Wow. So I would tell him, one analogy I've used, there was a real famous comedian. I wish I knew his name. He did a monologue, and I've always never forgot it. And he said it was almost like his last monologue before he left this earth. And it never, and I tell it to myself, so that's why I'm sharing it to you. And so I would share it with my 7-year-old self, that life is just a ride. Life has its ups and it has its downs. It has scary turns. Think of a roller coaster. You're excited going up, and then you're scared as you're going down, and you have blind turns and dips, and you just the euphoria of the G-forces and everything, and then but then it's going to be over, and you don't know when it's what's going to be around that next turn. So he would say, just enjoy the ride. So I would tell my 7-year-old self, just enjoy the ride. And buckle up.
Because sometimes it can be a bumpy ride indeed.
And he would say that during his monologue, he'd say, and with life lessons, it's just a ride. Enjoy it. It's just a ride.
John, thank you so much for finding time to talk with me. It was an absolute pleasure. And I do hope that one day, who knows, we'll have the chance to meet on board of a cruise ship.
I would love that. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you very much. Take care of you, and carry on doing what you're doing, because I am following you step by step, day by day. Thank you. Take care. Thank you.